you. Thank you all for coming and sharing this nice occasion with us, with the Syrian community in Cleveland. I welcome you to this event and hope we have a good time. And we're going to celebrate the work of the Syrian American artist Diana Al-Hadid. Where's Diana?
I'm here.
I want to do due thank you to many people who worked to make this event successful. So, of course, Diana Al-Hadid, who came from New York today for this special occasion. I want to thank the team who helped in putting this together. The team of ladies, Ruba Mourany. Where's Ruba? Ruba is very active in the flowering and beautifying the garden. All the irises that you see around, all the other flowers are the work and the hard work of Ruba Mourany. Thank you, Ruba.
Thank you.
I want to thank the rest of the auxiliary committee who worked in the preparation and the logistics of this event. Kinda Farhat, is Kinda here? Kinda? Naim? Okay, yeah, thank you, Naim. Thank you to Kinda. Lena Bshara. Lena was also very helpful, and she's out of town in Syria. And Sausan, of course. Thank you, Sausan, for helping and for everything else, putting up with all the ups and downs of this. I want to thank the board of the Syrian Cultural Garden. Board members, please raise your hands. We appreciate your coming. Naim I want to thank the Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation. We have many board members here. Thank you all for being here. Raise your hands, please, so I don't miss anybody. Dan Hansen is the greatest friend of the Syrian Garden for many years. He did the original videoing of our opening event in 2011 and still going strong. He loves the Syrian Garden, and he created a video actually that we have it on our YouTube channel. So thank you, Dan, for all your dedication to the Cultural Gardens Federation and Cultural Gardens area and One More Day. Thank you, Dan. And I want to thank all the board members here. With due respect to all of them, I don't want to miss anyone. Sheila, Paul, who else is here? Doja, Connie, Pierre, anyone else? Kaisra. Is Kaisra here? Thank you. Okay. Doja. So thank you, and then thank you for the executive director of the Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation, Lori Ashek. Lori, where are you? Lori, okay, thank you for all your hard work. And we hired a development manager for the Cultural Gardens Federation, Jennifer, here, raise your hand. Thank you. So we have a great team in the Federation now, and to give you the good news, One More Day happened last Sunday, and it was an incredible event that surprised everybody with its volume of people who attended and the depth of all the artistic functions that took place. The police chief estimated that we had 40,000 people last Sunday scrolling around these beautiful spaces here and listening to music and dance and performances at the plaza and every other garden. So that was very nice. I want to recognize the very distinguished individuals who are the friends of the gardens and the friends of the Syrian Garden, and they are part of the advisory board of the Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation. Mr. Alex Machaski, raise your hand. Thank you. He's the past publisher of the Plain Dealer, very dedicated to the Serbian Garden. They beat everybody in busts. They have 12 busts in their garden. So, congratulations. And we have Mr. Dick Paul.
So behind there.
Dick, thank you, Mr. Cleveland. Thank you for being here. We have Mr. Lou Frangos. Is Lou here? Lou, thank you for coming today. Mr. Lou Frangos is taking over upgrading the Greek garden. Put a lot of efforts and investment in it, and yesterday they had the opening ceremony for starting the work on the art fresco that they're going to build up. It was beautiful event. Thank you, Lou. And he's on the advisory board also. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If anybody is missed, please raise your hands. I want to welcome now Sarah Spinner. She is tell me the title. Director of Exhibition of the Front Art International. And Front Art International, I think there are more people here. Can you raise your hands, please? From Fred.
Prim.
Okay, who else?
Yay, Front!
Thank you. Thank you for being here and supporting this program today. The Front Art International is the organization that organized the triennial art festival in Cleveland that started about 7 weeks ago, and they invited 80 plus artists nationally and internationally, and they exhibited their work in public spaces throughout the city. It was a big event, and they had a big gala, and was very impressive. And at that time, we scheduled our event to coincide with the opening, but we didn't have enough connection with upstairs, so it rained out. So thank you for coming and being here and inviting, of course, Diana. I want to thank Layla. Her last name is Khoury. She was very helpful working with Diana and helping her out. So thank you. And she did the Nizar Qibanni statue there, and hopefully we're working very soon on a new bust in the garden. We'll keep it as a surprise now. So thank you. Without further ado, I'm going to just say a few words about Diana. And I asked Diana, if I want to read her CV, it will take probably an hour. So I summarized it in about 5 pages.
Please don't read all that.
So just be patient with me. As described by Diana about her work, somewhere between fresco and tapestry, the artist's three-dimensional multimedia panels emphasize her skilled brushwork. Holes and gaps form not from puncture, but through controlled dripping. Their abstractions recall both human creations and those of the natural world. The swirling drapery of fine fabrics or the slow drip of cave matter. These forms have been realized as hanging objects, architectural interventions, and most recently as outdoor installations. If you didn't understand what I said, it took me a while to understand it myself.
Me too.
Diana was born in Aleppo, Syria. She came to Cleveland. She was 5 years old, right? And Cleveland was lucky to have her family here. And then she went to Kent State University for her degree. She received a degree in sculpture and BA in art history from Kent State in 2003. And a master's degree in sculpture from Virginia Commonwealth University in 2005. She is also a USA Rockefeller Fellow. This is a very important thing. Her mosaic murals for New York City, Penn Station were among 100 finalists for COD Awards, an international competition honoring public commissions that integrate interior architecture in public spaces. In 2020, she received the Academy of Arts and Letters Art Award. She received multiple awards that cover two pages, literally. So I just summarized them. Her solo exhibitions were presented and exhibited in many museums around the country. I'm not going to name those, but I'm going to name the few that she had permanent artwork in these places. So we'll start with the De Cordova Museum and Sculpture Park, Lincoln, Massachusetts, the Whitney Museum of American Art, New York, the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts, the Museum of Fine Arts, Houston, Witherspoon Art Museum, Greensboro, North Carolina, the San Jose Museum of Art, the National Museum of Contemporary Art in Athens, Greece. And she had a big major piece in Madison Square Garden in New York City. So without further ado, I'll give you Diana, and she will reflect on her work and her life.
I have a few, thank you everybody, but I have a few other shukrans to add. That'll be probably the only Arabic that you'll hear from me today. But most especially, thank you, Dr. Khoury. This was really wonderful working with you and your beautiful family. Layla, who's the other artist present in the room, that needs a big shout out. Thank you so much for your help. And of course, Hansen, thank you for your hospitality and your delicious food and all the work that you've done to put this together. And just a few other shout outs. Sam, my brother, who's big instrumental in this sculpture with me, brought me here every day for the week that we put it together and helped out in every way. And of course, my mother and Rifi, who are here. Where would I be without you? And sitting next to her, one of my favorite families, the Halabis. They really helped bring us up and helped bring us to Cleveland when we were children. And my family, Tante Malia's here, Nadine and Fadi. Thank you all for coming. Oh man, and my professors from Kent. Thank you all for being here. I think the rain and August, my son, hi. And my other son, Ethan, hi. Okay, I think that should cover it for now. Okay, so everyone's been asking me to, they come up and say, I love it so much, so thank you. It's wonderful to have so much love and support for this sculpture. And then they say, but what does it mean? I don't know what it means. And that's okay. I guess I want to reframe the question a little bit. Think about, I think, and tell you maybe more about how I make the work and how things evolve. And maybe you can extract meaning from that. Because it's very hard sometimes to have a really straight answer if you ask an artist something that complicated. So, when I was invited by Prem, who's the wonderful curator, I didn't shout you out, but we've been in conversation for I think 3 years. I was one of the first people you said that you spoke to about Cleveland. So it's wonderful because, of course, I was raised here, and I was telling Prem that at the time it was 2020, and when we were talking more seriously about what I was going to do, and I really was obsessed with plants. I really got the plant bug during 2020. I moved upstate, and I was in nature. I told everyone I felt like this was the first time I really even saw a tree, right? I started planting, I started researching, and so, Prem very gently, nudged me to consider, well, let's look at what spaces Cleveland has to offer that really celebrates growth, plant life, gardens, community spaces. And so we approached the Syrian Cultural Garden to say, would you consider letting us use your space to make a project that hopefully reflects the theme of the triennial, which is, only happens every 3 years. There's tons of other art around the city to see. And the theme being, kind of growth and community healing after such a difficult, turning point occasion in our world. And I thought back to, my Syrian roots, right? How could I not? And my Ohio roots. And I thought about how time has really become so different and so elastic post 2020, and how time really feels just slow. Everything feels slower and wrong. And I've always been very interested in history and Syrian history. And one of the things I love the most about this garden is, there's so much information. It's one of the only gardens, right, Dr. Khoury, that actually has this historic information. And so this is really, Syria is really one of the oldest civilization, the oldest continuously habited city in the world, Aleppo and Damascus, right? And the history is there, and this is an opportunity for the Cleveland community to learn something about it, and for me to learn something about it, which has been, really a wonderful education. So I thought about two things. Al-Jazari, which is he's a kind of a early 13th century Islamic polymath and inventor, and wrote a very modestly titled book called The Book of Knowledge and Ingenious Mechanical Devices, which were his inventions. And I've been referencing this book for some time and kind of looking at his timepieces. They're basically ancient analog clocks. He did also phlebotomy devices, did a lot of interesting inventions, but his clocks in particular were these analog, they were basically like the first programmable computer. And they were sometimes 11, 12 feet high. And so what I did was I took his study for a scribe clock, which is a clock that tells time by water dripping from one vessel at the top to the bottom. And there's a system, which you can see some of the machinations on the inside of the sculpture, but there's a system of weights and pulleys and gears, and a hand at the top, which rotates on an axis. So in theory, again, none of my sculptures work, totally useless, but when the water drains, it would rotate the hand at the top, which is the scribe's hand, and the scribe is holding a pen. And in my imagination, there was, another connection. This was the second thing that kind of was important to me in thinking about this piece, was Layla's beautiful, figurative bust, this head of Nizar Qibanni, which is an important Syrian poet who was really popular at the time that my mother would have been a young woman in Syria. And I learned about, he's very radical, feminist, which, I was profoundly moved to hear, right? That here was somebody talking about how to give women a voice, and how to, and really at a time when maybe that was much more controversial than today. This is in the 60s, this is all worldwide, right? And it was beautiful, and a lot of his poetry also speaks to, weaves a lot of jasmine imagery, because jasmine is the national flower of Syria. So taking all of these things together and thinking about how the body moves through time and how history is written, I thought about how this ink from the scribe's pen might overflow and kind of become part of the woven texture of the clock, and that these hands, which incidentally happened to be the cast hands of my family, who were visiting at the time that I was working on this piece, so they're kind of encircling the body of the clock, and in my thinking, kind of using some of this spilled ink, manipulating it or pushing it forward or catching it, and yeah, now kind of allowing in a way for, rather than water to be the direct way of the material that is used to tell time, now the plants have taken over. And so it's kind of on plant time. So that's as far as that's as far as I've gotten on this piece. I don't know, where it goes next or what it means after that, but that was kind of the journey. So, it's maybe useful to know that I don't kind of have a preconceived idea of any work that I'm making from the beginning. It's really an ongoing, frustrating process that can sometimes take many years, and it requires a lot of trust in anyone that's kind of hosting me. So I appreciate your trust, and I appreciate all of your support, and thank you so much. I know we're all very hungry, and I'm around for questions. So thank you everyone. Shukran, ma'asalam. Sharraftuna.
Thank you very much, Liana. Pleasure having you and having your work here, and hope we see you more in Cleveland. I want to invite the chairman of the board of the Syrian Cultural Garden, Dr. Adnan Mourany, and Jamil. He's on the team, the leadership team that takes care of everything related to the garden. We spend a lot of weekends working together.
Thank you. No more speeches. Just I would like to thank Dr. Khoury, Wael for his work. He's a dynamo of the gardens. Without him, we can't do anything.
Thank you everybody for coming, and we're gonna invite you for lunch.
Please step. Thank you.